It's becoming increasingly difficult to be a fan of gaming or just wanting to play games because what exactly do you support nowadays? After the broken release of the GTA Definitive Edition, three of my favorite childhood games were getting more negativity than I've ever seen it get. Obviously, this is not the only thing, because currently at the time of recording, Activision is holding their word to them and saying, yeah, this is totally fine that our CEO knew about sexual harassment and all the stuff in the workplace, but he's really committed on making it better, and we're not going to make him resign. So what are you going to do in every single one of these situations? Are you going to be like, I'm not buying your games anymore, Activision, because I simply don't agree? Where are you going to go then? Are you going to start doing a EA where like, well, I don't actually agree with their business practices either because they're rather greedy and Battlefield is not really what our Battlefield fans really want at the moment, and it's seemingly also a broken release. You know what? Instead, let me go to Ubisoft and play Rainbow Six Siege. Oh, wait, actually, they're treating their employees like shit as well. So what you're left with is, well, in that case, I just might as well play the video game instead of trying to take the moral high ground. Then when you do, launches of games have been completely broken. They take a couple of weeks until they get in a semi-decent state, and by that time most people have already lost interest and moved on to something else, thus leaving you with the only hardcore fans and skill-based matchmaking in most online shooters, which then results into you being like, well, this is not really the casual and fun experience I want to have after working my 9-to-5 job, so instead, let me go and try playing something else. There isn't really anything else out there, is there? There isn't really an awful lot of video games going around right now where I'm personally going like, man, I'm really excited for that. Man, this looks finished. There's always something wrong, and lately it's been getting more and more frustrating of trying to enjoy video games rather than everyone always needed to have some kind of argument about the business practices or whatever of the companies. Gaming nowadays have become more aggressive too towards all these business practices rather than just wanting to sit down and just to enjoy the game for what it is. I feel that especially with the changes in monetization and the way that games companies are going about it and treating games more like a service rather than something that should have longevity right from the get-go. By that I mean, let's release a game with just a few maps and then later on in the season we'll add more stuff to it. Games as a service in a way is an appropriate way of moving gaming forward, for the simple reason is that you have a one-time purchase of your game, and then if you like the game enough you can just stick with it because content keeps flowing in. Typically, season passes are only like $10, which in my opinion is a pretty reasonable price for a season worth of content, which typically lasts 2 or 3 months. Think for example in Destiny 2. However, with the rise of social media and everything like that, I feel that there's just more hostility to especially the developers that are making these games. We have to remember, folks, that these decisions that are being made to release the broken versions of the games are never really the people that made them themselves. Instead, these are the leaders of the companies, the ones that you never really see, and sometimes in the commercials and trailers are like, look how great we did this, our team, but you only see the person that has the title lead developer, lead this. You don't see the hundreds of people who are behind the scenes working overtime and crunching their face off in order so you can play your video game in time. And the only reward they seem to be getting is the abuse on social media because you didn't get to play your video game because it was broken because the leadership of the company wanted to have their holiday sales. Now, part of me doesn't really want to use the excuse of that C word that we can't use and has nothing to do with Australia, if you catch my drift. For the simple reason is that games companies should by now be really used to the fact that they're working in said pandemic. So I don't really think that at this stage you can really blame the pandemic for the broken launches of all these games. If anything, they should be used by it by now and or going back to the offices. It seems that lately more and more people seem to also be more compliant with the broken games that are being released. The thing is, and the reality of it too, is the fact that yeah, you can scream about it on Reddit as much as you want, but the casual gamers out there are still just buying the games, and same goes for microtransactions. This is the reason why Call of Duty is starting you $24 for a microtransaction pack that will just make your character and your gun look a little bit more fancy. The reason why it's happening is because it works, and all this shouting that you're doing on social media against developers and whoever is simply not working out. I feel that a lot of the respect towards developers has just simply gone out of the window too a long time time ago. I feel that if you're someone who has valuable feedback to the game, you should be respectful about it and post it on the appropriate places so developers can get that feedback and learn from it, rather than having the screaming child on the corner of the street demanding that it's going to be his way or no way. I feel that as a whole, we gamers and the industry really need to look a hard look at ourselves and think, alright, what exactly do we want? Do we want to wait longer for a video game so it's more finished? Or do we want to deal with screaming children on Twitter and Reddit screaming about that they want their video game now rather than later, without realizing the fact that development is something that takes time, and if you want to have a game that isn't as broken as Cyberpunk, you need to release the game a little bit later. Luckily though, it seems that a lot of developers are doing just that, but unfortunately in the case of Battlefield, even a release later, it seems that the game is still having a rather rough launch. Speaking of Battlefield, I've played it a few hours, and while not a hardcore Battlefield myself, I'm having a good time with it. And I can find myself being more and more compliant with bugs and glitches myself. The new thing and the new bar for me personally kind of just seems to have become, as long as I can play the game is kind of whatever. These games are just gonna always release with issues. As games get bigger and people are demanding and wanting more from them, developers are more and more pressured into just throwing more features in there for the sake of throwing more features, rather than focusing on the fun and, well, the enjoyment that gamers might have. The focus has kind of steered away from just making something new and fresh, and then instead making something that is already existing, just with a different kind of glitter on top of it. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.